All right, well today we're sitting in a 4755 and it has a sticky throttle. It goes to about half throttle before it even responds, and then it gets kind of hung up here, and then yeah, it gets hung up there. This is kind of a solid linkage from the injection pump back in behind the oil filter here. There is a cable that runs up underneath the floorboard, and then it goes from the cable to another fixed solid linkage. And back in behind there, where that linkage meets up with the cable, is the culprit. If we get up underneath here, it's up there, but there's not any good way to get to it. You can almost see it right there, but it's almost impossible to get to. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take out the floorboard. So that means we get to fight and struggle getting the mat out. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so now we got a floor pan here. I'm gonna have to scrape out all this garbage to make things, less dirty. But yeah, I gotta go around. We're gonna zip out these bolts of this floor pan, and then that thing should be right over here. So let's take this floor pan off now. Okay, so we got there's 7 bolts to this floor pan, if I got them all. So we should be able to lift this thing out of here somehow. I might have to lift it up. How is that gonna come out of there? Oh, if I have to take this piece of plastic off, that's gonna suck. Oh, that thing's gotta come out of there. Maybe. Any luck? Ah, come on, okay. Yeah, flip it up towards the control panel side. And that gives us enough room to get it out from underneath there. You see? That's how that works. Okay. So, our floor pan is gone. Our mat's gone. Let's see our bunged up throttle linkage. Okay, so this here, there's our throttle linkage. Okay, so underneath, there's a bracket underneath here, and I might have to take this pan off too. Sure. Okay, let's take that pan off too. Okay, so right here is our, you see how that's catching and kind of bending in there? So I'm thinking it might just be that bracket that's screwed up. So let's take this bracket off, because it shouldn't be flexing like that. Or maybe we just have a kink in that throttle cable there. I don't know. There's something. It looks like it's that bracket, the way that it's flexing like that. It shouldn't be that loose. So let's take that off and take a look at that. I think it's just held on by a 9/16 nut, and then there's a 1/2-inch bolt clamping the throttle cable onto it. So My battery's also almost dead. That's why I keep turning the camera on. Plus, this is going to make it a shorter, easier to follow video, probably. Hopefully. Okay, let's do that. Let's take that piece off there and see what we got. Okay, so here's the piece. It bolts on like that. Or no, it bolts on like that. And then right there in that hole, that's where the clamp runs for the cable. So the cable would run along, I like my pointer finger here. And it's definitely bent. And the metal's getting pretty weak, I bet, because that's been doing nothing but flexing back and forth. It's probably only a matter of time before it starts cracking and breaking, but why? Why is it doing this? So I can take, let's see. I can take my throttle cable down here and work it back and forth, and everything seems to be working the way that it's supposed to. If I can hold on to it and it's not binding up for any reason, I don't think it's anything but that bracket. But why? Was it holding the cable off to the side where it was kind of kinking a little bit and then over time bending? I mean, because it's definitely tweaked. So that's where we gotta make a decision. Should I just straighten it out and put it back in? But like I said, I think this metal is getting a little on the weak side. So I'm gonna see about just getting a new one, because I don't think these things cost that much. I could probably do something to stiffen it up to make it work, but I can already see where it's starting to crack right there. And yeah, this thing's on its way out, so I could take a little piece of metal and try to stiffen that up, but it's so small. I think I'm going to see about getting a new one. Let's go with that and then see if throwing new parts at it fixes it. Alright, so we got our new part. It was part number AR86977. And hopefully this is the thing that's going to fix the problem. So we'll get that put in here real quick and see what we got. Okay, so we got our new piece installed, and it works better, but it's still in here. It's like it's catching on something. So I'm thinking this is one of those cause and effect scenarios or whatever, and we got a cause of something sticking in that cable, and then effect of bending that piece, and over time making it worse, because it's better than it was, but there's still something binding in there. And I think the only other thing to do to fix that is some Farm & Free spray lubricant. I don't know if we can get this worked up in there. Because you can see, I think you can see it's kind of moving that bracket. Now that's starting to feel like it's working loose though. Okay, well, let's do that for a while. I'll just spray it and work it, and spray it and work it. Okay, I've been spraying and working and spraying and working, but I don't think it's helping. If I move the cable just right, it works better, but leads me to my next thing. I think it's something to do with this cable. I think there's something wrong with it. It's got a kink or something somewhere, I think. Otherwise, maybe what I can do is, see, now it's got a bunch of stuff laying on top of it. There's a wiring cluster laying on top of it. There's a hydraulic hose laying on top of it. Maybe some of this stuff, if I zip tie it up here out of the way, so it's not interfering. See, that already feels a little bit better. I think that's what's going on. I think that's what started the whole thing. It's the fact that there was a bunch of stuff laying on it and putting it in a bad spot. Yeah, so I'm gonna get some zip ties and get this stuff up out of its way, because that already is helping tremendously. We'll try that. Okay, so we'll do some fixing with some zip ties, and if that don't work, then I guess probably be on the market for a new throttle cable. More parts. That's fine. Okay, get that out of the way. Somehow get this hydraulic hose out of the way. Get over here. Oh, that's gonna be just barely long enough. Okay, so it feels a little bit better, but it's still catching on something. Why is that like that? If I hold it over there, it's a little bit better. So I think in the meantime, that's what we're gonna do. Try to save our cable for a little bit longer anyway. Ultimately and eventually, that throttle cable is gonna need to be replaced though. Okay. Still kind of sticks at that point right there though. But it's definitely better than it was. Okay, well, I guess. So I guess what we're gonna do is we're gonna call that good and try to get through harvest season, because this is what we haul our grain wagons in with. And this fall I find out it sucks. I guess I'll slap a new throttle cable in it and see if that fixes it, because that's the only possible place it can be binding up. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I've decided a new cable is in the works here, because it's gonna need to be replaced anyway. So might as well just do it. I'm in the middle of disconnecting the old one here, which I don't think I'm too far away from having done. So I'll loosen that up. Might have to take that cover off and slap a new cable in, because as of right now I work this throttle and it's still sticking. Still feel it catching, so you know it's nothing to do with anything in the front. It's still something back here, and I'm still thinking it's something in the cable. So I'll unbolt that and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I got my two throttle cables here. This is the new one, and this crusty old thing is the old one. And it's definitely sticking on something, and you can see where it's kind of kinked here on this end. And another thing that I've noticed is these little grooves right here where my finger is. Okay, the bolt is what holds that in place. It sits in that little groove there, like so, and that locks the clamp into that one place, and it can't slide back and forth. There's only one place to put it. And this one, I've noticed, the new one, see, if I look at it, these linkages are exactly the same. So, I mean, that doesn't make it look like they are, but they are. The linkages are exactly the same. And but the cable itself is a little bit shorter. It's about an inch shorter. You see where the new cable, I've got the clamp on it, and then the groove on the old one, it's about an inch past it. And it was kind of kinking a little bit, and I think that's maybe this was replaced and they put the wrong one on it, or they revised it and made it a little bit shorter so it don't do that. But anyway, all I gotta do is put this on, and then hopefully all I gotta do is just adjust the throttle a little bit. At the end of there's a turnbuckle there. So I'll get this put on, and then we'll see where that puts us. Okay, so I got it all hooked up. I was panicking at first because I had it on to where the original one turnbuckle was kind of screwed to. This one I had to run it in quite a bit more. And what I found out is when I took this end piece off the rack there, it was way out of adjustment. So all I did was I disconnected it from the lever that goes to the rack and the pump. And then I turned the turnbuckle in until it lined up with that, because that should be idle position. We're going to find out here in a second. So I'm going to start the tractor now that everything seems to be where it needs to be. So the lever runs nice and smooth. It doesn't go as far forward as I think it should, but maybe it does. I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna have to start it, and yeah, we'll see from there. We'll see if it idles, and it should idle. Let me think here. So If it does idle good, then we just got to get some heat in the engine so I can go full rack with it and see if it revs up to where it's supposed to rev up to. Okay, so I thought I saw 2370 or something like that, which is, yeah, it's way too much. I mean, maybe not under load, I don't know. But I should probably tone it down a little bit. So, So to tone it down, all I gotta do, let's see, that's getting kind of tight. All I gotta do is turn this, was it this way? And that brings and shortens up the rod a little bit. We'll try that. Okay, so what that's doing is it's shortening up this rod and bringing it back towards the cab of the tractor so it doesn't, you know, go all the way. The optimal RPM is like 2250, I think, something like that. You don't want to go too much more than that. Kind of gets hard on things, I think. clamp down that turnbuckle now, and or tighten and lock nuts for the turnbuckle. And it idles where we want it, and it revs, red lines where we want it. So, and the throttle works. See that? Nice and smooth, like brand new. That's really nice. Liking that. Okay, we fixed something. Woohoo! All right, well, I'm gonna slap this pig back together. Now I'm gonna go edit this video and upload it. So I got this new camera, and I'm really excited about it. All right, guys, well, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.